Welcome to World at Work TV. I'm Allison Avalos, and I'm here with Carrie Hsu today to talk about the final rules that the Department of Labor has released with regards to the FLSA and the exemption tests. Carrie, we know from the proposed rules last year, the Department of Labor was looking at the salary threshold. Can you talk about where we landed in the final rule with regards to the salary threshold?
Sure, Allison. So the original proposal had the level pegged at $50,440. Fortunately, the final rule came in a little bit lower. It's $47,476 on an annual basis. It represents the 40th percentile of non-hourly workers, but it's in the South region, so where pay tends to be a little bit lower. The DOL, in attempting to pacify some of the concerns about geographic pay differences, went with this southern region 40th percentile, which is a little bit lower.
Now, how about the threshold for highly compensated employees?
So that has gone up considerably. The current level is $100,000, and that's gone up to $134,004. Why there's another $4 there, it's probably makes it a nice rounding or something, but it's $134,004. And what that is if you earn that much and you have at least one primary duty being an exempt level type of duty, then the duties test is a little bit less stringent for those employees.
Another component of the proposed rules had to do with an automatic update of the salary thresholds. Where do we land in the final rule with that component?
Right, so where we ended up there, the proposal was for an annual update to that, and again, we believe that World at Work and others that had lobbied the government did have some positive effect. They've come out with an update every 3 years, so the next update would occur in 2020. Where the government is estimating that rate will happen, or what it will land at in about a 3-year period, is something like a 7% increase to something like $51,000. World at Work continues to be concerned that that figure doesn't take into account the fact that as more employees become non-exempt, they drop off the database, so to speak, and so our major concern is that is going to go up much higher, much faster than that. But we do feel that once every 3 years is certainly a better outcome than annually.
So thus far we've been talking about the salary threshold for determining an exemption, but the Department of Labor had requested comment also in its proposed rules about the duties tests that are associated with exemption testing. Talk about the duties test.
Right, so there are a number of exemptions. Once you have met the salary level, then you have to meet the salary duties test, and there's a number of different categories: professional, administrative, computer professional, and so forth. And the DOL wants to make sure that those duties are duties that either require an advanced level of study, or they're duties that require discretion, and so forth. So under the new regulations, there will be no change to the duties test, and that will remain in force as it is currently.
So talk about, Carrie, in terms of implementation time frame. When do these rules take effect, and what should compensation professionals be thinking about now?
The effective date is going to be December 1st of 2016. That was also another bit of a reprieve, as they had originally said they were only going to provide 60 days. So we have about 6 months to get prepared. While not ideal, it's certainly better than 2 months. One of the main things that organizations are going to have to think about is really kind of a simple question. Are we going to be able to afford increases in labor costs? And if the answer is yes, then your options are you can raise employees up to the new level of $47,476 and maintain the exemption. You could reclassify those employees as non-exempt, and start to pay them overtime. And if they're working over 40 hours a week, allow them to continue to do that and pay overtime. For the employers that aren't able to increase their labor costs, they're going to have to decide how to attack this. You know, one of the things they would be able to do is to reclassify employees, but they'd have to then make sure that they're not working more than 40 hours. So, you know, not allowing workers to work more than 40 hours. Now, to the extent that the employees are currently doing so, then that creates well, this is potentially work that's not getting done. So how would we attack that? Well, they could add staff, but of course that's going to add cost as well. So one option would be to actually lower the pay of these employees to account for the fact that they are now going to get overtime. Another alternative that people could look at would be to say, okay, if they were currently eligible for a bonus or an incentive program, the overtime is going to add extra costs. Maybe that could be curtailed or eliminated. Now, I'm not saying that these are fun choices and pleasant choices for the employees for sure, and the employers also. But it's just a fact to say that many employers don't have extra budget, to pay for these things. So there are a number of options out there. Again, we feel that at the end of the day, the Department of Labor is not going to realize all the benefits that they've been touting because employers are just not going to be able to absorb these additional costs without taking a little bit more drastic action, which is in fact going to hurt employees.
Carrie, do the final rules address the inclusion or exclusion of bonuses and incentives with regards to calculating that salary threshold?
Yes, they do. So, and this is a new feature that we did not have previously, but the DOL is allowing up to 10% of this threshold, so 10% of the $47,000. You can use in terms of if you have paid an employee a bonus or incentive during the year that up to 47, 10% of that amount can be used to satisfy the salary test. One of the issues that is sort of in fine print, though, is that these bonuses and incentives have to be non-discretionary. So what an employer can't do is at the end of the year do some kind of holiday bonus and say, oh, we're a little bit short, so we're going to make it up with a bonus. It has to be a non-discretionary incentive or bonus plan, and what that means is it has to be on paper. You have to have goals and objectives of what the objectives of the plan are, what the payments will be, and it has to be something that's non-discretionary, meaning that if the organization meets those objectives, there's going to be a payout. So this is going to be somewhat problematic for organizations because by nature, there are goals and objectives that have to be met in order for payout to occur. So organizations aren't necessarily going to know if their plans are going to pay out until very late in the year, and that is just something that we're going to have to work through, but it could get pretty sticky.
Well, as you've outlined, there are a lot of options to think through, and World at Work will certainly stay on top of the issue for you. We're actively working on a variety of resources to help you through compliance, so stay tuned. For World at Work TV, I'm Allison Avalos.